Nerd Reactor, roll out.
What's up, Reactorites? John here, and wow, there's a lot of craziness surrounding this whole Sony and Disney drama, and so it's pretty much, Disney with Marvel Studios. They're spearheading the whole Spider-Man films under the MCU. Kevin Feige, he's the one that's like choosing the directors, coming there, picking the actors and all that. Marvel Studios has a big hand in the new Sony Spider-Man films, and I thought it was like a really good collaboration between Sony and Marvel Studios, bringing Spider-Man into the MCU because it's very cool. Disney wanted like 50-50 because they've been doing a lot of the work, and Sony's like, well, this is our property, but we don't feel comfortable with the 50-50, and before it was like, I think 5%. Disney's like, no, we need to have more because we're putting more effort into this, and you guys are just reaping the benefits. And in the end, the plans, everything just fell apart. So now Spider-Man is not going to be part of the MCU. And now we have J.C. Lee, daughter of Stan Lee, just pretty much just spitting in the face of Disney with her comments about how Disney and Marvel has not been treating Stan Lee well, and that she would rather have Sony do the stuff because other companies, she believes, should be able to have a vision of Stan Lee's creations. So this is a report from TMZ, and this is what JC tells TMZ. Marvel and Disney seeking total control of my father's creations must be checked and balanced by others who, while still seeking to profit, have genuine respect for Stan Lee and his legacy. Whether it's Sony or someone else's, the continued evolution of Stan's characters and his legacy deserves multiple points of view. When my father died, no one from Marvel or Disney reached out to me. From day one, they have commoditized my father's work and never shown him or his legacy any respect or decency. In the end, no one could have treated my father worse than Marvel and Disney's executives. Wow. So those are her thoughts, and I think it's pretty much she's just hating on Marvel and Disney just because they haven't been treating her well. Because Marvel and Disney, they did a thing for Stan Lee and homage. She's been in all the cameos, but I guess in her mind, those cameos aren't enough. And for me personally, I do not feel for her, J.C. Lee, just because there's been a lot of just bad stories that I have heard about her through friends and through reports and all that. One report from, according to the Hollywood Reporter, says that she abused Stan Lee and her mom, Joanne, and there was like photo evidence of the injuries and details on how that happened. But in the end, Stan Lee and Joan didn't want anyone to like press charges because that's their daughter. It's like family can fight, family can be cruel to each other, but in the end, like, if you really feel for the person through all the bad stuff, you still don't want bad things happening to them, depending on the situation. And for this, Stan Lee didn't want anything bad happen to the daughter, even though there's been reports of arguing and abuse and all that. And then also the story of how she's an estranged daughter, and she's only coming out recently after like Stan Lee's been ill. So like, where was she before? Why was she helping Stan Lee out during his time? And there are other stories I've heard where she's been just very rude at during conventions, like if she does appear, or she would only want money from Stan Lee, and she would get upset if things she didn't get certain things her way. And pretty much it just sounds like she's been leeching off of her father, and now she's coming out after he passed away, like trying to just blame everything on everyone else. But for now, I'm not feeling her. And then the thing with the whole Sony and Disney thing, it's there's like different camps. You got people that enjoyed Sony stuff from the previous films, and then you have people that don't like Disney. It's like, oh, Disney sucks. They're taking everything, or I never liked their version of the Spider-Man films. And so you got, two sides. But a lot of people are still upset about Sony. And then Sony was like, oh, you know what? We try to negotiate with Disney, but in the end, they're too focused on many other things, on the other properties like the Mutants now and Fantastic Four. So now this is like the least of their concern, and that's according to Sony. But there are reports of an insider where Kevin Feige, he's a huge fan of Spider-Man, and you can totally tell by just watching the MCU on just him and his the team just somehow convincing Disney and Sony to team up to bring Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Come on, this is a guy that likes Spider-Man so much that he's willing to do that, willing to make things happen just for that. Two different companies coming together, and I'm pretty sure he still wants to do more stuff with Spider-Man, especially with the way Spider-Man Far From Home ended. And with this news, it's just sad for fans of Spider-Man in the MCU, because now we're not sure what's going to happen, and it looks like it's not going to be the case. Maybe Disney or Sony might change their mind, but I don't think Sony wants to do 50-50 with Disney, and I don't think Disney is happy with whatever they had before, which was 5% or something like that, and especially when Disney's doing all the legwork and doing all the hiring, and this is what we should be doing, and to only get 5%. But in the end, Sony has the rights to Spider-Man for the films, and maybe they'll learn a thing or two from how Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios have done the Spider-Man films, and they'll focus on doing that. Because Sony has done some really cool stuff with the Spider-Man stuff, because I really enjoyed the first Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and that was not even part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that was probably one of my favorite Spider-Man films out there, and I think I enjoyed that way more than Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, because it's just a funny film, great film, and so there is still some kind of hope out there. And in the end, Sony is still going to be able to hold on to these things, make more money off of it. For example, Venom is a live-action film. It had nothing to do with Spider-Man, and it's still focused on Eddie Brock, and it still made a lot of money, like over $800 million worldwide at the box office. And so I think Sony's going to just stick to what they have, and they want more control out of their own property of being able to do this on the film realm. JC, she's not a fan of Marvel or Disney, and I just want to hear what you guys think about this whole situation with Sony and Disney, Marvel. Who do you side with? Let me know on the comments below. With that said, I'm John, and I'll see you guys next time.